The movie begins in a dress boutique, where we meet Xenia, a seamstress, working with her client Sonia, who is about to get married. Sonia asks Xenia about her own wedding, but Xenia admits she hasn't had one yet. Meanwhile, Xenia's daughter Paulina starts crying and fussing. Victor, Sonia's fiancé, has been hanging around, despite being considered bad luck to see the bride before the wedding. Victor steps in to calm down the crying baby, and Xenia looks at him gratefully. Sonia jokingly comments that Victor is practicing fatherhood. Later that night, Xenia is alone with Paulina and tries calling her boyfriend. When he doesn't answer, she goes to his studio to look for him. Xenia catches her boyfriend, Kira, with another woman, and upset, she rushes out. Kira's friend, Kira, sees her and berates her for entering his studio. The next day, while at work, Xenia can't help but cry over her boyfriend's betrayal. Her colleague, Kate, notices and expresses concern. Xenia tells her everything, and Kate advises her to act as if nothing happened, so Kira will continue to love her. At home, Xenia's mother looks after Paulina, and Xenia discovers some sketches Kira has done of the woman she caught him with. This upsets her, but Xenia's mother reprimands her and puts away the sketchbook. Her mother doesn't want Xenia to keep tormenting herself, as she can't force Kira to stay with her. Xenia laments the fact that Paulina will be without a father, but her mother reminds her not to mourn something out of her control unless she casts a spell to make Kira love her. The next day, Xenia goes to visit Kira's parents' house to find him, as he has been avoiding her calls. However, Kira's mother doesn't even come out to greet Xenia. She stands on a balcony, making Xenia feel bad about not knowing Kira's whereabouts. Xenia leaves and finally runs into Kira as he's leaving his studio with his new girlfriend. Xenia insists on talking to him in private and makes one last attempt to make him stay. She tells him she will not tolerate him sleeping with other women, but Kira snaps at her, saying he doesn't want to be with her anymore and that she doesn't own him just because they have a baby together. This proves to be the breaking point for Xenia, and she lunges at his face. Kira pushes her back and wipes his bloody face with a handkerchief, which he throws on the ground before walking away, unknowingly providing Xenia with a tool for his undoing. Xenia takes the bloodied handkerchief and later goes to see Aza, a gypsy. Xenia and Aza talk in her kitchen as she carves meat. Xenia tells the gypsy about her predicament, and Aza asks her if she wants to be with Kira forever. Xenia agrees to cast the spell and learns from Aza the specific requirements for its execution. She needs to find a couple deeply in love who are about to get married and perform the spell during their wedding ceremony inside a church. Aza warns Xenia against tricking the spirits, emphasizing that the love between her and Kira must be genuine and strong, or else the spirits will become angry. Xenia nods in understanding, and Aza provides her with some items she'll need for the spell. Before Xenia leaves, Aza slices her palm and gives her a piece of meat, instructing her to cast the spell until the meat spoils. Some days later, Xenia arrives at Sonia and Victor's wedding to cast her spell. During the ceremony, a man named Oleg approaches Sonia, but she isn't pleased to see him and leaves him to enter the church. Xenia sneaks into the attic and prepares everything for the spell. She intertwines 2 candles and adds her blood, as well as Kira's blood, onto the handkerchief. Xenia proceeds to burn the handkerchief. She puts the rotten meat in her mouth, trying not to gag. Downstairs, the wedding ceremony concludes, and everyone celebrates the newlyweds. As Sonia and Victor walk out of the church, Xenia hurriedly tries to leave but suddenly feels unwell and collapses in their path. In another scene, Sonia is seated in a hospital chair, still wearing her wedding dress, visibly upset by everything. Oleg joins her to offer comfort, and she believes that the wedding brought bad luck, crying on his shoulder. Meanwhile, Xenia regains consciousness and sees Victor standing beside her. Victor, who is a doctor, talks to her. Xenia feels terrible about ruining their wedding, but Victor reassures her, telling her to rest and get better. As he leaves Xenia's room, Victor searches for Sonia but doesn't find her. Investigating some noises from a storage room, he discovers Sonia and Oleg locked in a passionate embrace. That night, Xenia wakes up by an open window, noticing mud smeared on the windowsill. When she turns around, she sees Kira standing in her room, looking disheveled and asking for her forgiveness. Xenia is glad that her spell worked and forgives him. Kira takes Xenia out of the hospital that same night, and they go to his studio to spend the night together. In the morning, Kira is struck by Xenia's beauty and asks her to pose for him in the sunlight. Xenia happily agrees and smiles at the attention he is giving her. They then visit Xenia's mom, and Kira helps board up a window that broke during the previous night's storm. Xenia offers her mother to stay with them until the window is fixed, but when they are alone, Xenia's mother declines the offer, feeling that she would be disturbing them. In the next scene, Kira is seen trying to sculpt Xenia's likeness but gets frustrated because he can't capture her perfection. He suggests making a mold of her face, but Xenia insists that she needs to go to work. Eventually, Kira convinces her and covers her face with plaster. When Paulina starts crying, Xenia tries to attend to her, but Kira asks her to lie back down. He moves the stroller until the baby stops crying before returning to Xenia. He uncovers her face and proceeds to make love to her, even though she is unable to speak or see. At work, Xenia runs into Sonia, who is trying to return her wedding dress. When Sonia sees Xenia, she blames her for Victor leaving her and angrily walks out. Xenia, upset by the encounter with Sonia, tries to call Aza but receives a distorted voice on the other end. Suddenly, she feels a sharp pain in her stomach but is distracted by a sound coming from behind some racks. As she approaches, she sees a figure in a wedding dress hanging dead. The dead bride reaches out to grab her, causing Xenia to back away in fear. Shaken by what she has witnessed, she returns home but cannot find her boyfriend or Paulina. Xenia goes to Kira's studio and discovers masks of her face scattered throughout the place. She then finds Paulina alone and abandoned in a corner. Kira appears and Xenia confronts him for leaving the baby unattended. She questions his love for them, and he assures her that he does love them. However, he complains that Xenia is always busy and wants her to let go of everything that keeps her away from him. Xenia repeats Kira's words, stating that she is not his property. Kira, in his anger, smashes one of the masks, which frightens Xenia. He apologizes and takes her in his arms. At work, Xenia sees Victor, who has come to inquire about Sonia's dress. They start talking about what happened, and Victor appreciates Xenia's work on the dresses. Suddenly, he takes her hands in an awkward moment, but when Xenia looks down, she sees another pair of hands holding her. She gasps and is hit by another wave of pain in her side. Victor offers to drive her to the hospital, but he is attacked by a jealous Kira. Xenia manages to break them up and explain everything. Kira apologizes, and Xenia wraps his injured hand with some gauze. Victor then drives Xenia to dinner at his parents' house, where he tries to make things right by proposing to her. Xenia asks for time to think about the proposal, and Elena, Victor's mother, laughs. Kira gets angry and defends Xenia. He asks his mother for the ring to propose to Xenia, but she refuses, stating that the family heirloom should go to someone worthy. Quietly, Kira gets up and gets some scissors. He cuts off his mother's finger to obtain the ring, and his father tries to stop him. Kira then kneels in front of Xenia and puts the ring on her finger. Xenia watches him in fear, but when his father tackles him and shouts at her to run, the gate outside closes before Xenia can reach it. Kira slowly approaches her and asks if she was going to Paulina. Xenia asks him if Paulina is with her mother, but he doesn't respond. In the next scene, Xenia rushes to Paulina, who is once again left alone in Kira's studio. She picks up her daughter as Kira insists that they only belong to each other. Scared, Xenia starts crying and confesses to casting a spell on him. Kira pays no attention and knocks her out. Xenia wakes up in a tub filled with plaster to see Kira pouring the same substance onto Paulina. Xenia struggles to get out of the bathtub and knocks out Kira. She grabs her baby and makes a run for it. Xenia runs onto the street and almost gets run over, but a woman driving a car sees her and offers to help. As Xenia and Paulina are driven by the woman, Kira catches up to them on his bike and pounds on the car window, continuing to harass them. Xenia reaches a fork in the road and takes a sharp turn to trick Kira. She gets dropped off at Victor's house, feeling safe that Kira won't find them there. Xenia shares a tender moment with Victor, who rocks a sleeping Paulina. The next morning, Victor is met by Sonia at the hospital, who tries to apologize to him, but he doesn't respond and gets in the elevator. Inside, he recognizes the hand of a covered corpse as Kira's and uncovers it to confirm his suspicions. His co-worker tells him that the man suffered a severe head injury at home. Xenia is haunted by Kira, and when Victor returns, she tells him about it. Victor assures her that Kira is dead and takes her to the morgue, where she recognizes Kira's body. Xenia asks for some privacy and cries. Suddenly, Kira's body reanimates, and pulls her into the drawer with him. Xenia eventually manages to escape but is left frightened by the experience. Sonia sees Xenia with Victor and confronts them, but Victor explains to her that Xenia's boyfriend has died. Victor then drives Xenia to Oz's place, where she confesses about the spell. Aza admits that she doesn't know how to undo the spell, and they reluctantly use Victor to contact the demon. The demon possesses Victor, and they ask him what he wants from Xenia. He replies that he wants her soul, as she promised it to him. The demon becomes violent and almost kills Xenia, but they are saved by Oz's mother. Victor recovers and leaves, refusing to be part of whatever Xenia has gotten herself into. Oz's mother tells Xenia that she might be able to trick the demon by performing the spell in reverse and recreating the wedding with the same people. Determined, Xenia goes to a church to reverse the spell. Meanwhile, Victor meets Sonia at the hospital and tells her Xenia's story, admitting that he never truly loved Sonia. Sonia is then attacked by Kira, which changes her mind. At the church, Xenia is attacked but saved by Oz's mother. As everyone else arrives, they attempt to reverse the spell and reenact the wedding. Xenia tries to unwind the candles but gets thrown back by an unseen force. As everyone rushes to her, Sonia is possessed by the demon and attacks them. The gypsy tries to exorcise the demon, and eventually, they succeed. However, when Sonia comes back to herself, she speaks in Xenia's mother's voice, claiming that Polina is missing. Victor and Xenia return to her house to find a mask. They track the clue to Kira's studio, and Xenia goes to find Polina while Victor tries to free her mother, whose feet are nailed to the floor. Xenia finds her mother and Polina hiding, while the figure posing as her mother is revealed to be Kira, who attacks Victor. To save Victor, Xenia finally agrees to give up her soul, and Kira disappears. Xenia comforts Victor and assures him that everything will be okay before drowning herself in a tub of plaster. In a vision, we see an alternate life where Victor and Xenia would have gotten together and raised Polina. But in reality, Xenia walks down the aisle in a black wedding dress, with stone figures attending the ceremony. As she reaches the altar, she sees Kira waiting for her,